We're tied. We're tied at 2 games apiece, 111, 101. How many people would you say last week on the truckwreck.com text line thought that we could get back to this point in this series after they fell behind 2-0 in the manner in which they did?
I mean, I think most thought a win was coming on Friday night. That's the guaranteed win of every series. Team down 0-2 coming home. You could usually chalk that one up. But I don't think many had, from what I saw, not many had them tying it up. There's some that were.
I mean, this on Thursday it was sweep, and this ends in 5 at most.
Yes.
Which the majority were, had reason to believe.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be a wrong opinion at the time. That's exactly how you would kind of shake it out. But you never know. That's the thing. The NBA does not lend itself to upsets generally, and that's why there was no upsets in round 1. There was no game 7s in round 1. In round 2, it started off pretty boring. You had a lot of blowouts. Now the series has kind of tied themselves up. A couple of them have, and then a couple more are about to be over. But this is now the Mavs, they're in a fight now. They're in a dog fight, and this is a best of 3. And you want to be an underdog? Best of 3 is the way to go.
So what has changed in this series? What are the things that have changed? I wrote down a few. 877-881-1053, truckwreck.com text line. First off, I mean, you could see it starting game 3 with Luka's anger and intensity. Reggie Bullock starting to pick up Chris Paul full court. The defensive intensity has to have Jason Kidd happy. You can just see passing lanes and ball deflections and 50-50s. It feels like the Mavericks are winning all of those small battles. In the last 2 games, the Suns have shot less than 50%. They had shot over 50% for 8 straight games. So defensively, you check that off. That has changed positively for the Mavericks. The others, right? Luka needs help. Who else is going to step up for him? And you started seeing it in game 3. Brunson, Reggie, and Finney-Smith had 57 points. After games 1 and 2, they had 31. So game 3, they really, really picked it up. Yesterday, of course, Finney-Smith, I thought was the player of the game for the Mavericks with 24 points and going bonkers from 3, hitting 8 of 12. But Bertans was absolutely lethal, going 4 of 6 from 3. Brunson ended up with 18 after he got aggressive once again. He was aggressive game to game against Utah. He came out game 3 really, really aggressive.
It almost was like him and Luka needed a few games to get together and figure out the new Brunson, because he was very timid in games 1 and 2.
I don't think it was that. I think it was like Brunson figuring out what to do against the Suns defense. You could tell that the length bothered him early on, and then yesterday he's sitting there posting up Devin Booker and Chris Paul, and he gave Devin Booker the dream shake near the free throw line, and then he ended up fouling out Chris Paul to disqualify him from the game. So, Jalen Brunson just seems so much more aggressive. He had 7 attempts early on in game 3, 10 points on 7 attempts, and of course, he ended the night with a really, really nice performance. So they're obviously getting more from the others. Yesterday, I loved the tweet. The Tolo said, Porzingis is doing work in this game. And they were talking about Dinwiddie and Bertans combining.
Yeah.
And Dinwiddie started off well. Now, his shooting wasn't good at the end, going 3 for 10, but it felt like he had 10 early points in this one. So between Dinwiddie and Bertans, you had 22 points. Thank you, Kristaps.
There's your Porzingis line right there. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Although he was more of an 18-a-game guy than 22, but he certainly had 22 in him some nights when he was actually on the floor. The
Mavs, I thought the ball movement and the shots that they were getting were reminiscent of the Jazz series. I tweeted that out. It's like, whoa, they're getting wide open looks. And if they hit them, and they hit 20 of them, then Phoenix is not going to be able to overcome that. They had 14 more attempts than Phoenix at halftime from deep. People were recalling the Mother's Day Massacre and comparing Bertans to Peja with what Peja did against the Lakers in that game, the Mother's Day Massacre at the AAC. So you're getting it more from the others. Obviously, the biggest difference for the Suns is Chris Paul's falling off a cliff.
I mean, Cliff Paul.
Cliff Paul, well done. 2 things that have never happened in his career happened in the last 2 games. He has 7 turnovers.
So he's lost a lot of playoff games before.
7 turnovers in the first half, and then yesterday fouling out. Like, I'm almost at a loss for words over how dumb he played mentally for being an all-time great, knowing all the little tricks. Pick up the 4th foul right before the half, and then the 2 other fouls within that time frame, and leave his team to die out there and leave Devin Booker to rot on the floor by himself. It's crazy.
He and Paul George need to create a post-career podcast called The Playoff Pauls. And they are like, obviously the Paul George one is not even warranted. I mean, he is a good playoff player. He's had his moments. But man, Chris Paul in these last 2 games has looked as, I don't want to say starry-eyed, but has looked as out of sync as it gets. It looked like his brain and his mind and his body have been out of sync, and it's looked, quite honestly, like he has got his mind elsewhere. Like something's not up, but like it looks like he's not interested in these games. Very odd.
17 Suns turnovers in back-to-back games.
Yeah, and when you turn the ball over a lot as a team, a lot of times it's because your point guards put you in bad positions. He's either turning the ball over or he's giving the ball to guys and put them in bad positions to do anything with it, and they're forced to make plays. And when you're forcing someone to make plays, that's when mistakes happen. And the Mavs did a great job of forcing the Suns to make plays on defense. And yesterday, Paul was he had 3 fouls of the 6 that were like, what are you doing? Like the one before half, what are you doing? The 5th one where he just stopped. I mean, look, that's obviously they call it the Chris Paul rule, whatever. I think it's a dumb rule. Control the defender needs to learn how to control his body, but Chris Paul knows the rule. He knows he can't do that.